He was 55 when his heart almost stopped for good. Years of stress, sitting at a desk, and ignoring the warning signs finally caught up with him. One cold morning, a sharp pain in his chest changed everything. "You were lucky," the doctor told him. "Another few minutes, and we might not be talking now." But this isn't a story about luck. It's about choice. A choice to heal without pills, without excuses, just one step at a time. John had always believed he was healthy enough. He didn't smoke, he rarely drank, and apart from the long hours behind his computer, life seemed ordinary. But ordinary, as he later learned, can also be dangerous. He worked late, slept little, and ate whatever was quick and easy. His days were filled with deadlines, and his nights with exhaustion. The gym membership card in his wallet hadn't been used for years. Then came the heart attack. It didn't feel dramatic at first, just a dull, pressing pain in his chest and a strange heaviness in his left arm. But within minutes, that pain grew unbearable. His wife called the ambulance, and by the time they reached the hospital, he was fading in and out of consciousness. The next thing he remembered was the doctor's voice telling him he had survived. The words, "You need to change everything," echoed in his mind for days. For weeks after, John lived in fear, afraid to move too much, to climb stairs, even to laugh too hard. He felt fragile, as if his heart might break again at any moment. But deep down, something shifted. He didn't want to just survive. He wanted to live. Not through a handful of pills, not through fear, but through taking control of his own recovery. That's when he decided to start walking. John didn't plan to make a big change. He didn't set any goals, didn't download fitness apps, and didn't buy fancy shoes. One morning, a few weeks after leaving the hospital, he simply opened his front door and decided to walk. It wasn't about exercise. It was about moving, breathing, feeling alive again. At first, he could only manage a few hundred meters before his chest tightened and his legs trembled. He turned back home, disappointed but determined. The next day, he walked a little further, and the next a little more. Soon, those short walks became his daily ritual, quiet moments between him and the sound of his footsteps. He noticed the world differently. The trees near his house he'd never paid attention to, the smell of morning rain, the way sunlight touched the pavement. All of it felt new. Walking gave him time to think, to breathe, to let his heart beat freely without fear. Weeks turned into months. What started as slow, cautious steps became steady 10-kilometer walks every single day. No matter the weather, rain, wind, or cold, John walked. And with every kilometer, something inside him began to heal. 6 months later, John went back to his doctor for a checkup. The last time he'd been there, his blood pressure was high, his cholesterol levels alarming, and his energy almost gone. This time, the doctor stared at the numbers, then at John, and asked, almost in disbelief, "What have you been doing?" John smiled. "Just walking." The results spoke for themselves. His blood pressure had dropped to healthy levels. His cholesterol had improved dramatically. He had lost more than 10 kilograms without dieting. His blood sugar was normal again. And for the first time in years, he said, he felt light, not just in his body, but in his mind. But the changes weren't only in the medical charts. John no longer woke up tired. He no longer carried the weight of constant anxiety about his heart. He felt calm, clear, and grateful. His morning walks had become his form of meditation, his time to think, to listen, to be present. He noticed that his thoughts had slowed down, the same way his steps had found a rhythm. What once was a forced routine had turned into something sacred, a part of who he was. Friends told him he looked younger. His wife said he laughed more. And for John, that was the real victory. What happened to John's body wasn't magic, it was biology. Walking, though simple, is one of the most powerful tools we have for healing the heart. Every step strengthens the muscles that help blood flow more efficiently. Each deep breath during a walk increases oxygen delivery, gently training the heart to become stronger rather than strained. When John began walking daily, his blood vessels slowly became more flexible. This improved circulation, lowered blood pressure, and allowed his heart to pump with less effort. His body also began to produce more nitric oxide, a molecule that keeps arteries open and healthy. At the same time, Walking helped reduce inflammation, one of the hidden causes of heart disease. Studies show that even 30 minutes of moderate walking a day can lower bad LDL cholesterol and raise good HDL cholesterol. That's exactly what happened to John. But there was something else too, something deeper. Walking calmed his mind. It lowered stress hormones like cortisol, which can silently damage the heart over time. The gentle rhythm of his steps helped his nervous system recover from years of tension. His body wasn't fighting against stress anymore. It was flowing with balance. Science can measure the numbers, blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, but it can't quite measure peace of mind. John found both. John's story isn't just about recovery, it's about possibility. You don't need to have survived a heart attack to start walking. You don't need to be an athlete, or have the perfect shoes, or wait for the right weather. You just need to start with one single step. Walking is the most human form of movement. It's what our bodies were built for. Yet, in the rush of modern life, we've forgotten its power. We drive everywhere, we sit for hours, and we call it normal, but our hearts were never meant to be still. Imagine what would happen if you decided to walk every day. Not to burn calories, not to chase a goal, but to reconnect with yourself. 30 minutes in the morning. A walk after dinner instead of scrolling through your phone. Fresh air, sunlight, movement, medicine that costs nothing, but gives everything. John didn't heal because he did something extreme. He healed because he was consistent. He showed up for himself every single day. That's where the real strength lies, in the quiet commitment to take that next step, even when no one's watching. So if you're tired, if you've been feeling stuck, if your body is asking for change, listen. Open the door, take a breath, and start walking. Your heart will thank you. Half a year after his heart attack, John no longer thought of himself as a patient. He wasn't recovering anymore. He was living. Every morning, when he laced up his shoes and stepped outside, he felt gratitude for the second chance he had given himself. The road didn't fix his heart overnight. It healed him slowly, gently, step by step. And that's the quiet beauty of walking. It doesn't demand, it gives. It teaches patience. It teaches presence. It reminds us that healing isn't something that happens to us. It's something we create through small, honest effort. John's story is proof that sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful. Medicine saved his life, but walking gave it back to him. And maybe that's the lesson for all of us. Healing doesn't always start in a hospital or with a prescription. Sometimes it starts the moment you decide to move forward one step at a time.